What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Appreciate you tuning in for another episode. We got a lot to talk about. We've gotten a long way with the Corvette. So season's coming up pretty fast, and I just haven't really had a whole lot of time to film me doing work to it, but we got a bunch of updates today, and the car moved under its own power. So let's get into it. So I've absolutely been working like crazy on this car today and last few weeks, just trying to get things wrapped up. I don't have a whole lot of time to film myself doing stuff, which is, I really like doing that. For me, working on the car is about as fun as driving the car. I love doing modifications and everything like that. So I'm gonna hop in and show you what we've done to this car since the last update video. And I feel like this works a little better just doing update videos. It's kind of like how my buddy Matt Happel does. I used to love watching his ramble videos where he would just go through and just discuss and talk about everything he's done. I used to love those videos. It's nice to see him doing them again on his Mustang. But I'm gonna show you a few things that I've done. I'm not running a stock radiator anymore. If you've seen in the last video, I don't think I had talked about it, but it's actually an Eastwood radiator. And when I mean Eastwood, like metal fabricating, like welders, stuff like that. They sell some car parts and they have their own design of radiator. It's called a tri-flow. So pretty much the fluid comes through. I'll put a picture up on the screen. Pretty much the water flows through the top, back through, and then back through to the bottom. It passes through 3 times before it actually comes out the bottom. I don't know if it's any good. The videos say they're good, so I figured I'd give it a try because it was pretty universal fit and it fit pretty well in this car. And right now, I don't mind the air filter. We're doing something different with that. I'm actually gonna get rid of the mass airflow and run this thing in speed density just because I wanna come off of here with a 45 and bring the filter over here because we have a power steering cooler here we're gonna get into. But this is an Eastwood radiator. It's a GM style. It's got the outlet over there just like the stock Corvette, but the lower is a inch and 3/4. So I had to get, I'm having to do some modifying to the hoses, and it's a lot further down than the Corvette. Corvette's about midway at a radiator, but I'm not gonna be using AC anymore, so this just worked. So the way these Eastwood radiators come, they come with these brackets, and they're actually longer, and I just chopped it off. So I bent some little brackets. What I've done was I bolted them to the radiator, and I just stuck the radiator down in there, tack welded the brackets, unbolted the radiator from the brackets, and I solid welded them up, and that worked really, really good. So now the only thing I do to change the radiator is just pop out 4 bolts. Radiator comes right out. So other than the hoses, this thing fit really good. It's the same height as a factory Corvette radiator. And what I'm gonna do, I actually got a Rogue Fab bender, tubing bender. And I'm gonna bend up a little radiator support to go underneath just to protect the radiator. It hangs at just as low as a stock radiator. So what I'm gonna do is just bend a little pipe to kind of keep it from getting messed up, just in case I hit something. But I got the radiator leaned back at the same angle it did factory. I mean, it fits really well. And I think I'm gonna go ahead and just leave the tag bracket off. These vents here are usually closed off and they have fog lights. So those are fully opened, that's fully open. This thing should have plenty of air. And Eastwood actually makes a radiator, fan shroud and radiator for this that I went ahead and ordered. I was gonna use the factory Corvette fans. They just didn't fit how I liked. And I'm just very particular with, I just hate throwing stuff together. I was gonna do it and weld some tabs to the radiator and I just couldn't do it. The Eastwood doesn't even bolt up. It kind of snaps to the top and snaps on the bottom. And once it comes in, I'll show you because we'll have to do some modifying. I'm probably gonna have to pull the radiator back out and I might end up welding it to it just to make it more solid. But on to the next thing. Brake lines are bled. I'm pretty sure I talked about it in the last video, but I got some heat wrap put on them just to protect them. Like I've spent a lot of time heat wrapping things, protecting things, just trying to make sure things I do not want to have any issues at the track. So I got my power steering pump back from turn 1. I think I got right at $1,000, maybe $1,100 in power steering stuff. I sent them my pump to have it rebuilt. And I pretty much had no power steering all last year. And I sent them my pump and they told me that it was pretty much toast. You had to start with a good, genuine GM pump for them to rebuild them at turn 1. So pretty much I just had to go ahead and get a new pump. And That pump was, I think, $575 plus shipping. Then I sent them my rack and pinion also and had them rebuild it so it has no leaks. I didn't want no issues with this car. And what I actually done on power steering lines, I went ahead and used a stock line, because if I blow a line, I can just go straight to the AutoZone or O'Reilly's and grab a hose, put it on the car if I ever have any issues. I was going to do AN lines, but then I'm like, if I do mess one of those up or cross thread one of those, I'm screwed. So we stuck with a stock line. Cheap. It's like $18. It wraps around just nice. Be easy to change at the track. We have no ABS anymore, if you can tell. Like, this thing is so wide open. We got our brake line run. Like, everything is just so nice now. I've took time to put everything in P-clamps. But our return line, I did use an AN line just so we can run it to our cooler. And what I actually done was I run the cooler right here, so derail with a fan. And where I got it at, if I ever get any kind of front end collision, it's not gonna hurt it. It's actually all behind the main support. If I get into an accident bad enough to mess the cooler up, then the car is probably totaled. So I'm gonna go ahead and go up with it. I'm gonna give you a look underneath to show you how I did it. Because the original plan was to put it right here. I had the fender off and I was gonna put it in behind here. It's just the fan was just a little too big and touched here, so couldn't do that. All right, so let's get in here and check it out. So pretty much what I done was I come in here off the rack with an AN line, run it around, and this is a power steering filter. Pretty much it's got a magnet inside of it and filter. And one thing I was worried about is if it stopped up or anything, would it be able to pass fluid? And actually in the filter there's a bypass valve, so that thing flows free. I didn't want it to back up the system any, but it worked out. So I pretty much got it going into the cooler, and there's our fan on our cooler. Comes out and then goes right back up to the power steering reservoir right there. I mean, it's just a pretty simple system. It looks good. It's gonna work great. But you can see it's all behind the main support. So we shouldn't have any issues with that. The plan is to put the air filter right over here in this area, kind of offset so it doesn't suck up any of the heat. I'm gonna have this fan hooked up to where it pushes through the core, just so it kind of feeds this whole cavity here. That way the air can go out of the hood. But it's gonna work out pretty good. It's gonna catch some air from right through here. As you can see, the radiator is gonna be catching a lot of air through here too. See the cooler. And let's get on to how much, like, look how much room we have here. It's gonna be so much easier to work on. That's like one of my main goals with this car, was to have simplicity of working on. As you can see, we got our FDF. Oh man, we are auto balanced out here. So we got our FDF eccentric lockouts on the front, the rear, we have them too. But with these lowers on, we have camber now. Something we really, really needed. Man, we have so much angle right now. Man, they're just amazing. So I went ahead and ordered new rack boots just to keep the elements out of there. But yeah, I got a rough alignment. I think the next video, what I'm gonna do is actually do a proper alignment on the car and pretty much document it. You can see we're not hitting lower control arms with the wheels anymore. But the stock one, it runs right through here. And you can see where we were rubbing our wheel. That's not gonna be an issue anymore. And like I said, I was wrapping a lot of stuff with heat shielding just to try to preserve everything, because these cars are tight. You can't really do a whole lot with the harness. You can see some of the heat tape I put on everything. But the starter, I used a starter off a 2013 Camaro that has a built-in heat shield. I'll try to get in here to see it. You can't really see it. There you go. But yeah, we got us a 2013 starter. It's a newer style. It's really, really small. So you can see the heat shield right here. It goes all the way up to the top of the block, and it is protecting the starter wires, knock sensor wire. It's protecting a lot of stuff. Man, I wish I'd have took a better video of this with the header off, but you can see how far up the shield goes. You can see it right there. It goes up to the bottom of the head. So all the wires from the starter are protected very, very well. I was super happy about that. But as far as that, we got our Corsa exhaust back on. So I really wanted to go with this mount, but I just really didn't want to spend the money on it right now. It's a double barrel by AMT. It matches the motor mounts that I got. There was a guy on a forum that had this for $300, which is like $80 cheaper. So I went ahead and picked it up. Now we have matching motor mounts and trans mount. Got the Corsa. We also got our FDF upper arms, kind of roughed in. We got the adjustment. Pretty much I got about 1 degree of camber, positive camber right now. And I haven't really adjusted the toe. I just kind of eyeballed it. Like I say, the next video, I think I'm gonna do a proper alignment, just kind of give you the idea and show you, because on the rear, I'm probably gonna run a little bit of toe in just to kind of give the car some grip, because I'm gonna be competing this year and I'm not gonna be able to run these 265 Kendas. I'm probably gonna be running a 245 Kenda if they get them in stock. I filled the transmission with Redline D4 automatic transmission fluid. The rear end's got Redline fluid, gear oil, power steering's got Redline. I'm just trying to put better fluids in to preserve things. I want this car to last. Not sure if I ever showed you either. I got the Tick Performance master cylinder put in for the clutch. Got all that wrapped up with nice heat sleeve. You know, we're getting there. Like we got to go drifting in about 2 weeks. So this thing is getting pretty close. Got our caster adjustment. So I want to get, pretty much I got to get the caster, camber. Like the front's got a good bit of camber in it right now, and I'm going to be leaving it because you can see how hard we were rolling the front tires over. Like this front tire is just rounded. The lead wheel, whenever you're like full lock drifting, the tire's like rolling over on itself so hard. It's eating the sidewall. So we're gonna have a lot better grip. So it's like a proper drift car with all that angle. All right, I appreciate you watching. If you don't mind, go hit that subscribe button, turn that bell notification on, just so you can tell when I post a video and you can keep up to date with this car. Because man, we are doing some fun stuff this year. Like I said, I'm gonna do all of the comp at Rockingham, the local MB Drift guys. I'm gonna do all the competitions there. I wanna go to VIR, which is Hyperfest in the end of the year. And I would love to do it around the clutch kickers, but I don't see it for this year because I don't have a cage. And I might end up putting a cage in it before the end of the year, but I'm just not quite sure where we're gonna go with this. So we're gonna end it here. I'm gonna let you hear what the car sounds like. I appreciate you watching. Until the next one. Mm-hmm.